And so for those of you that want to go into athletic training, I think this especially is really important. Okay. And so hopefully you find this interesting. And even if you're not anybody that wants to go into any sort of clinical side of things, this would be important to know. So when it comes to heat-related illnesses, there's 4 types. We've got heat cramps, syncope, exhaustion, and heat stroke. Okay, and so we're going to go over these in order of severity. So we're going to start with the least severe, which is heat cramps. These are muscle spasms that we get when it's hot outside. Okay, because of all the sweating that we experience, we change the concentrations of ions and electrolytes in our body. Okay, and as a result, action potentials can be affected. Things don't occur like they're supposed to, and so we can get these heat cramps or these muscle spasms. Okay, and so a good way to counteract this is with, the replenishment of fluids, replenishment of electrolytes. Drink some Powerade, Gatorade, or other sports drink. All right, so this is what, it's been 8 or 9 years ago. LeBron James, when he was playing on the Heat, they were playing the Spurs, and he had to sit out for a little while because he had some massive cramping. All right, people called LeBron soft and this, that, and the other. And admittedly, I was not a fan of LeBron at the time. I'm only a fan of LeBron now because he plays for the Lakers. But I did feel bad for him because if he truly had cramps, there's nothing he can do about it. You can't just will yourself to overcome cramps. That's not how this works, right? You got gradients and ions moving in and out. And if you mess with that, well, then you're messing or you're altering neuron signaling, muscle signaling. Next, we've got heat syncope. Okay, syncope is just a big fancy word for fainting. And this happens because we have reduced blood flow to the brain. Remember, blood is going to our skin when we exercise and or when we're in the heat in an effort to dissipate heat. Okay, and so if I'm sending more blood to my skin, that means there's less blood that's available to go to my brain. All right, and especially when it's hot, when it's hot and I'm not exercising, someone's likely to experience this. Okay, and the reason being, you don't have the muscle pump to kind of counteract this extra blood flow to your skin, which means you have even lower venous return, which means less blood's going to go to your brain. As a result, down you go. Heat exhaustion, this is the one that many of us have probably experienced. This is the most common heat illness. Basically, it's just so hot you can't go anymore. Okay, your heart's not able to pump enough blood. You're not able to deliver enough oxygen. And again, the reason that this happens is because blood's going other places than your exercising muscle in an effort to cool down. Okay, generally not a big deal. Don't feel great, but it's not life-threatening. And then we've got heat stroke. This one is bad. This is a medical emergency. This is characterized by a medical emergency you've got a core temperature greater than 40.5. Now, I will say that just because your core temperature is greater than 40.5, that does not mean you're experiencing heat stroke. Okay, there are some other things that go along with this. But in order for your temperature to get above 40.5, that means you're accumulating a lot more heat than you're getting rid of. Okay, and this high temperature can start to damage tissues and organs. Okay, that's why a high temperature is bad. How do you know if someone's having heat stroke, experiencing heat stroke, especially if you don't have a temperature on, like a way to measure temperature? Change in mental function. Okay, and so I have actually experienced heat stroke. It was weird. Okay, and just to kind of give you an overview, I wasn't exercising per se. I wasn't out for a run, but I was living in Utah. Right after I had graduated, like the day after I graduated, we had a 122 mile an hour windstorm called microburst come through, and it ripped off part of my parents' roof, like shingles, nothing serious. Well, that summer I happened to be roofing. My cousin owned a roofing business. He let me roof with him, and I don't know if it's always this way. I have a feeling it is, but basically you get paid for what you do. It's not an hourly thing. It's how many shingles you put on that determines how much money you've got. Well, since I was working at my house, I could go up, anytime I wanted to help roof. And normally we worked in the morning because Utah in the summers can get up into the hundreds. And I had nothing to do. And I decided, I'm going to go up. It was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I decided to start roofing. And I remember feeling funny. And then my dad showed up on the roof and started talking to me. And apparently what I was saying didn't make sense. and I remember, just like I said, feeling off, but my answers didn't make sense. I don't remember if it was gibberish or what, but my dad knew I got to get my son off the roof because bad things are starting to happen. But it was just like, oh, I'm fine, not a big deal. Even though I felt I had this weird feeling, my core temperature was likely above 40.5. We didn't measure anything. Got in the house, cooled, got fan in my face, loose clothing on, that sort of thing. Because you got to wear long pants on your roof so you don't tear up your legs, that sort of thing. And after 45 minutes, an hour, I don't remember. I felt fine, and I remember looking back on it immediately, going, wow, it was way different up there. I can't remember, like I said, I can't remember exactly why it was different or how it was different. I just remember feeling off, okay, compared to when I came back out of it. So if you're in the heat and someone starts having, altered mental function, that's a good indicator that they're experiencing heat stroke. So the $1 million question is, what do you do? Okay. And the answer is you cool them off as fast as you possibly can. Okay. And the best way is ice water immersion. Okay. So I know some of you have probably helped Brooke in her study for 488. That's what you want to do. You want to get them in cold water and immerse them. I was talking to some of the ATs here at ISU, and they've got basically a cold bath on hand during these summer practices. So in case someone does experience heat stroke, they can cool them off. Now, some people will say, well, that's terrible or bad idea because you can cause heart damage. That's absolutely correct. You can cause heart damage, but better to have some heart damage than death. At least that's the way I look at it. Okay. Another thing that I want to point out that I hear every once in a while, it drives me nuts, is they say put like an ice pack on major arteries or on the back of the neck. Okay. And that's not great because what you're doing is you're tricking your hypothalamus into thinking it's cooler outside or that your body is cooler than it actually is. And so then your heat cooling mechanisms actually turn off. So don't do that. It feels better, but you're actually potentially causing some problems in the long run. And with that, we're done with the heat unit.